to the Dads Who Diaper podcast.
Nobody ever says, "Hey, Daddy, thanks for knocking out this rent."
Who says dads can't change diapers?
I'm the cool dad. That's my thing. I'm hip. I surf the web. I text. LOL. WTF? Why the face?
Your boy's a handsome lad.
Thanks. She's actually a girl. It's my daughter.
Oh my God.
Yeah, her hair just refuses to grow.
Coming to you live from the Dads Who Diaper studio, it's Paul and Chad.
It is the Dads Who Diaper podcast. I am Paul Snowden, the man to my left, who's happier than a Cheeto executive after finding out U.S. just legalized marijuana in 3 different states. It's Chad Carter.
Well, my football team won this weekend, so I'm on a euphoric high from that.
I was going to mention that later. I don't want to talk about it now. Because,
okay. The wound still hurt a little bit?
Well, here's the thing, people. My wife went to Oregon State. We have season tickets to Oregon State University football. And even though I don't go because I work most Saturdays, my wife goes. And this last week, she took our son to his very first ever college football game in Corvallis.
Mm-hmm.
And he was able to witness the first ever win from the Washington State Cougars.
Not true. Not true. We at least have a few more wins this season alone. But we did beat down on the Oregon State Beavers this past weekend.
Corvallis.
In Corvallis.
My son's first ever college football game.
Sorry to ruin it, Carter.
Rare enough, was a win by Washington State University.
It was like a unicorn and a rainbow all at the same time.
But you say that, but you know who's actually the worst team in the Pac-12? Well, it's Colorado. But the worst team in the Pac-12 North is Oregon State.
Now,
Washington State is actually above Oregon State.
That win helped solidify that exact statistic.
And so it'll be a funny story if my kid goes to Washington State. At least I can say his first win was there.
That's right. Hey, Washington State is a fantastic university, and our football program is on the up-and-coming list.
No, it's not. But neither is Oregon State's. But that's...
Mark my words. Next year will be an entirely different season.
No.
Yes. Mark my words. I'm saying it here first. Okay, moving on.
Moving on. All right, welcome to the podcast. This week we do have a new top 10 list.
Yes.
We're going to talk about the top 10 ways your kid's childhood will be different than yours due to technology.
There are so many things happening so quickly out there. I mean, I literally can't keep up with it. I can only imagine when we get into this, it'll be interesting to hear kind of what our 5 choices are going to be each. But I can only imagine 10, 15 years down the road, like it's just not even going to resemble anything similar to what we are comfortable with and know.
I read that within the next 5 years, 25% of all jobs will be replaced by computers. And within 15 years, 50% of all jobs will be replaced by computers.
Oh, that's heartening to hear.
Yes.
What are we going to do?
What are we going to do?
Well, no, I mean, what are
you and I going to do? We're going to do something that involves computers.
So wait, that involves computers, or the job is simply replaced entirely by computers?
It's replaced entirely by computers.
So what are all those people going to do?
Well, they're hoping to transition to new jobs, like, internet pops up and then people have internet jobs. But, there'll be a lot more leisure time, they said.
But you have to have money for leisure time.
Well, you hopefully would have to have money for leisure time. And then jobs would involve more leisure activity. Like you'd target people who are doing leisure things or working on computers, programming computers, fixing computers. Essentially, if you don't know computers, you're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, no, that's true. I just think, is there a threshold that says, at some point replacing jobs with computers just isn't productive, because all of a sudden you have all these people who no longer are getting an income. I
kind of wonder if it's not, I don't want to get too much into politics, but
right.
That's where the divide is going to be, like some super, super wealthy people or the upper class people who are like programmers and computer app specialists. And then you're going to have the majority of the really poor people who don't have any knowledgeable programming skills.
Right.
Because they also talked about, 100 years ago, everyone worked 60 hours a week, 7 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And when we went down to 40, and we're not all poor now because we're working 40 hours a week.
Right, but at least there's jobs to work.
Well, I'm saying, but if it goes down to where we all work 30 hours a week, or are you still going to be, okay?
Well,
like in Europe, they get 12 weeks of vacation.
Right.
They work 30 hours a week,
yeah.
And they work 4 days a week usually. Sure, there's 33% unemployment.
I was gonna say,
In
but
Pa-
we are America,
in-
and that's not how we roll.
Well, in like Spain, they have 25% employment. Paris is like 33% unemployment.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they do okay with only having like a 30-hour work week.
well,
But America has like the we're going to work hard and outbeat them technology, spirit.
right. Well, it'll be interesting to see, nonetheless, as things progress. But technology,
Nonetheless, make sure your kid knows how to program.
seriously, I mean, computers, no matter what industry they go into in the future, computers are going to be at the core of it. So, yeah, I mean, it's absolutely necessary for them to pick up those skills, and maybe that's one way to feel okay about giving them your phone to play with for a little while, just to get them to calm down.
Well, I mean, there are so many things. We should do one coming up about ways to get your kid into programming. Like, there are a lot of really smart apps and websites for toddlers that like teaches the basic framework without them even knowing it
Maybe I should take
on
that.
how to program.
Huh.
Like there upper rounds like Code Academy and like Scratch and stuff like that, where they teach you the basics through games, like fun little games they play on how programming works.
Maybe I should start playing those.
You
I
should.
don't know how programming works.
There you go. You should learn those things.
I rely on you.
Exactly. And I rely on spending many hours with the Mountain Dew learning how to do it.
Yes, and then you text me a photo of, look what I did.
I built this cat who can spin around.
I have made fire.
Last week on the podcast, we're going to talk about the technology. Let's see. We also on the website have a couple different new things. We're full now into holiday season.
Yes, we've got another gift guide available for you up there. And this week, if you haven't checked it out, if you've seen the book "Go the F to Sleep" by Adam Mansbach, he has a sequel out now, and it is "You Have to Effing Eat," which is the stage that we are going through in my household right now. Oh, I've previously eaten this food, but tonight I don't really feel like it, so I'm going to dump it overboard and give it to the dog. So, fantastic book. We have an interview with Adam, and we have a book review of the latest version of You Have to Effing Eat. And so go to our website, dadswhodiaper.com, and check out all the great new content there this week.
What about forts? You see the thing on the thing about pillow forts?
Yes, pillow fort. I mean, those were fantastic back in the day, and so we rounded up some of the best-looking pillow forts out there.
Have you made a pillow fort yet for your kid?
Not yet, no. But I need to get on that.
You should get on that.
He kind of steamrolls through it, and it just kind of leaves a trail of destruction behind him.
All right, all that and much, much more this week on the Dads Who Diaper podcast.
From the website, Dads Who Diaper, comes the Dads Who Diaper podcast.
One thing you can always say in this world, I never get enough email. Come on, think about it. Chad, do you get enough email?
Oh, God. I don't even know how many email accounts I have.
Okay, besides the fact you have all those ones you hide from your wife, I'm talking about actual legitimate email like, hey, how you doing? Nice to see you.
Right.
Besides me, because I send you 14 emails a day.
Yes, I think you are pretty much the only one, actually, that sends me just like regular, normal emails.
How would you like to get another regular email?
I'd love to. Maybe somebody reach out and say hi.
Well, what you should do is sign up for the Dads Who Diaper newsletter.
Boom. That's a fantastic idea.
Yes, go to our website right there on the right side. You just insert your email address, hit enter. We don't spam you.
No.
We even say, hey, are you sure you want to sign up for this email?
We give you a second chance.
Yes, and you should immediately say yes. And what you do is one day a week, just on Mondays, we send you the newsletter.
Yes, it basically is a look at the best from the best hits from Dads Who Diaper, a look at what's coming up, any sort of coupons or exclusive promo codes or any deals that we've got for you, and it's all delivered right to your inbox Monday morning, easy peasy, and you don't even have to do anything. We just serve it up on a silver platter right there for you.
And by signing up, Chad is no longer sad because he gets more people to see his newsletter.
It's not just me, it's your newsletter as well.
It is our newsletter, but I know it's your baby.
Well, I just do it because one of us needs to do it.
Yes, and that person is you.
Nonetheless, it's a great opportunity to have everything you need right there. And we do have a lot of exclusive discounts and deals and stuff that we do with other companies and products that are out there catering specifically to dads and to parents. So it's a great opportunity to kind of get some of those deals. You can go and purchase quite a few great things at a big discount. So check it out.
Right there on dadswhodiaper.com on the right side, we ask for your email address, put it in there, and subscribe to the Dads Who Diaper newsletter.
It's that easy.
Just that easy. Probably even easier than we made it sound because we spent 2 minutes talking about it.
We have a tendency of talking much longer than necessary.
All right, so this week we thought we'd do another top 10 list. And what are we doing this week? Top 10 ways our kids' childhood will be different than ours due to technology.
Do you remember like the first time you sat down and did like AOL Instant Messenger?
I think I might have been in college.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I remember distinctly the first, not necessarily like the first time, but the first recollection I have of it is I was in high school and you had the old dial-up modem that made all those just exactly just like that. And sitting down and being like, whoa, this is amazing. Like I can talk to somebody through my computer, you know, wherever they are. It doesn't even matter that they're not right here in the same city as I am.
When did you get a computer at home? High school?
No, we had one before that, but I don't remember like when. I mean, we had one, the big old floppy disks kind of thing. You put it in and you know all that. So we had one of those at some point, but the kind of we upgraded to what more traditional thought of a computer today. Sometime like maybe junior in high school or something like that.
See, we didn't have a computer in my household.
Yeah.
Like I never had one. And then my freshman year in college, I get there. I just nonchalantly threw all the stuff in the back of my car, drove up to Portland to go to Portland State, and I look around and like everyone has a computer. And I'm like, ruh-roh. And so I remember I called Gateway Computers and I'm like, I need a computer. And they sent me a nice computer and I owed them like $83 a month for the next 3 years.
Right. I mean, that's how far long ago. Gateway Computer, are they even around anymore?
I don't think so.
I remember all those commercials as like the Dell dude, and you used to be able to walk into a Gateway store or a Dell store like you can the Apple store now, and the big, huge, ginormous monitors that weighed 40 pounds, and the
well,
towers.
not even gigantic. They were like 14-inch monitors, but they still weighed.
Well, yeah, I mean the monitor itself wasn't very big, but like the entire thing collectively,
the screen size was very small, but it weighed like 225 pounds.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's just so nuts to think that, all of that is now condensed into our, our smartphones.
And my first computer had 20 gigs of hard drive.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't even remember what mine had, but that sounds about right.
Yeah. And so, it's just kind of weird to think how fast. And you had the mouse with like the two buttons and it was like the rolly ball.
Yeah.
Remember you would take the ball out of the mouse?
Yeah, you clean it up a little bit. There's a great, I guess you could call it a meme, but there's a great thing that kind of floats around the internet of a Radio Shack ad from like 1990, 4 or 5, somewhere around there. And it's got all these things on it, a phone, a computer,
camcorder,
camera,
machine.
all these things. I mean, there's literally about 16 different items on this newspaper advertisement.
Calculator.
And the meme basically says, everything included on this piece of paper is now in your smartphone.
Yeah, it's like everything on the entire front page of this Radio Shack ad is found in your phone.
Yeah, which is astonishing to me. But it just kind of sets the stage of how much has changed in our lifetime, which isn't that long when you think about it. And we couldn't even fathom that at that point and where we're going to go now. So, okay, so we have our top 10 list. So, Paul, what's your first item on your list of how technology is going to change things for our kids?
Well, should I take the easy one or leave it for you?
Do whatever you want.
All right, I'll leave the easy one for you. And I'll start with this. Funny jokes / urban legends. When you're a kid and your friend's like, hey, do you know if you swallow gum, it lives inside you for like 7 years? And you're like, oh my gosh, really? And then you run and tell your friend, and next thing you know, the entire school is talking about not swallowing gum.
Right.
Or like your mama's so fat jokes, and you find those funny. It's because you're like 6, and those are the only jokes you know.
Mm-hmm.
Now with technology, those are pretty much gone. Like within 2 seconds, someone would Google like gum on their phone at school and be like, no, that's not right. Google says that's not right.
Google says.
Yes. Wikipedia says it's not true. And that pretty much would just squash the classic urban legend.
So you're saying basically like you lose out on all those like kid-friendly kind of pranks.
Well, not prank, but it's kind of like being naive and having like learning, like, knowing stupid things that aren't true.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're like, oh, do you know that this guy like flew to Alaska on a powered, like lawnmower powered airplane? Like, oh my gosh, really? Not true. Google says no.
Google says no. Instead of Simon Says, we're going to start having Google Says.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. All right. I see that. So, I think technology in my and I'm wondering what your easy one is, and maybe it's just too early in the morning that my brain isn't working just yet because I can't figure it out, but maybe I will. It is 8:26 here. Kind of in terms of that, like technology is going to completely change the way that everybody goes to school. I mean, it already has started to do that. And I guess it kind of goes along with that whole like Google Says or Wikipedia. But when our kids go, I mean, they're less than 2 years old right now. So by the time they get to like high school, I mean, probably textbooks are literally not going to be there anymore. And you're basically going to go to school with a little, like an iPad. And that's it. And you're going to do everything off of like PDFs and predetermined fields and all this kind of stuff. And I can't wrap my head around the fact that that's it. I mean, do you think that's too far? Do you think that that's going to happen? Or will there be some semblance of actual like paper and writing and all that kind of stuff?
No, it's weird. We really haven't talked about this now, but thanks to this website and the explosion, I'm actually going to go back to school and get another degree in computer science. And I've been working on that. And it's so weird talking to engineering professors and stuff I'm going back to school for. They're talking about essentially my life's going to be so much different this time, where I'm going to be smart scanning my notes, PDFing them to my tablet, and putting them on my external hard drive.
QR readers and all that kind of stuff.
I am. They're like, well, the days of age of like carrying a giant spiral notebook and looking up your notes are over.
Mm-hmm.
Like you like scan them onto your PDF, you send them to your external hard drive or your Dropbox, and then organize them per date on your external hard drive at home.
And you probably email Dropbox links to your professors and say, here's my entire report, and you can find everything you need right here.
No, you don't even do that, because one of the classes I'm taking now from this Harvard Online is that they just have Harvard. You share a Dropbox account with the professor.
Oh.
And so it's already a shared Dropbox account.
Wow.
And so I create like a computer program from Linux, and then he'll just, when it's done, I email him, like I click like done. He just opens up my Dropbox account, pulls it up, checks it out, closes it again.
Crazy.
Isn't that nuts?
It is nuts. And I still carry around I love technology and all that kind of stuff, but I still carry around like I guess the best way to call it is like an idea journal or a little notebook where I just jot things down. Dear diary, today Paul and Chad did the podcast. Because to me there's something about just being able to flip the page, go back, remember what it was, or investigate something that I wrote down, rather than having to like pull up a notes or pull up something else. It's so hard for me to comprehend that when my child and children do homework, it's not going to be sitting down and on a piece of paper and doing this. It's more likely going to be strictly based in technology.
Well, you know how we kind of look at our parents or grandparents and they like to read the news with a newspaper.
Yes.
We kind of laugh at them
Yeah.
a little bit. That's the same way I think it's going to be, is the idea of you and I doing homework or research or anything else on actual paper is going to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, why do you use paper for anything?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you just, have a tablet writer, you type it out, you send it to the other person, you just research it, you back and forth, put a graphic on, be done.
Right. Or even by then, the voice to text thing will probably just be amazing, and you just talk and it just, picks it up.
No, I think that they'll never be right.
You don't think so?
You talk and it'll be like, art there, art left, turn height, son. Like, it's not what I said.
Damn it. Figure this out.
Figure it out.
All right. What's next?
All right, on mine, it's going to be the Did You Watch That TV Show? When you were a kid, there was always a few shows like The Simpsons, or I can't remember a couple others like Ninja Turtles, or where you and your friends all went home and independently watched them. And you went back to school the next day and you talked about them. And if you did not see them, you were that kid standing outside the circle going, oh, yeah, that sounds funny. Well, I watched Cosby. Anybody watch Cosby? And no one watched Cosby. And so you're on the outside looking in, and nowadays you just watch the show later. Everyone has it on their DVR. Everyone has it on Hulu, Netflix, something like that. And it's not everyone has to watch at the same time anymore.
Yeah, and that, I mean, it goes for kids, it goes for parents, and that's the thing. It's like you almost save them up if if you've got a trip coming up or something, you actually won't watch something because you've got a long flight that you have to.
Well, I don't think kids quite had that kind of logic.
No. Sorry, I was jumping ahead of parent logic, but or adult logic. But yeah, I mean, or you store up a bunch of kids programs, put them on your iPad or your tablet, and then when you're on the airplane or in the car, you have 4 hours worth of content for them to consume, so that hopefully they'll just be engrossed in that and not pestering and needing to get out and go pee every 2 seconds, which they probably still will regardless. But yeah, it's a whole different mentality. I mean, there is no appointment television anymore.
Did you have that as a kid, though, where you went to school the next day and you guys talked about a TV show?
I'm sure we did. I mean, I can't say that it jumps out right out at me, but yeah, I mean, back then that's what you did because you didn't you could maybe record it through a VHS, but that was all complicated and everything, so you either watched it or you missed it, kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, I think that's probably pretty fair and accurate to say.
Yeah.
What was your show?
You know what, I'm trying to think. I was mostly a video game person.
Yeah.
And so we did a lot of that, but I mean, pretty much I didn't control any TV. We only had the one main TV at my house, and my grandparents controlled it. And so it's like whatever they watched. So I'm like, ooh, did anybody watch Murder, She Wrote last night? That was a good one.
My mom loved Murder, She Wrote.
Matlock. Who's watching Matlock? There was Nash Bridges.
Yes, I remember Nash Bridges.
Baywatch. My grandpa watched a lot of Baywatch.
I hear they're making a reboot of that.
Hope they're not using the same ladies because they're not quite looking as good in their bathing suit.
Oh, boy. Okay, so speaking of gaming, I know that, Xboxes and PlayStations and all that are still pretty big right now. But in 20 years, I don't think we're going to have gaming consoles anymore. I think it's all just going to be built in to either the TV or your phone, and you just play it directly. Like, our phones are going to be so high powered and the tablets are going to have so much inside of it that, I mean, I remember the Christmas that we got Nintendo. It was the most amazing thing, and my parents were
That was the biggest moment of your life.
I know, it was and so we used to, every Christmas, we would have Christmas morning at the house, then we would get in the car, and we would drive to this place in Central Oregon and spend a week over there skiing and hanging out as a family, but they wouldn't let us bring the Nintendo. So we unwrapped this Nintendo.
Oh, no.
And it was like the most joyous occasion ever. And then we all jump in a car and drive away for a week. And on the way home, I kid you not, it was how much longer, and calling dibs and who's going to play what and all this kind of stuff. And my parents are, if you don't shut up, you're not going to get to play it at all, kind of thing, But that's not going to happen anymore. I don't think they're going to be gaming consoles in the way that we have them now. They're just going to be inherently built into whatever it is we use 20 years down the road from now.
Can I piggyback on yours one little bit?
Sure.
Because I have one that kind of fits in that. It's talking about game night. I don't know if you did this as a kid, but I did this all the time where you invited a friend over and then you just spent 8 p.m. to 4 in the morning playing video games together. That's all you did is you had a game night. They came over and you played NBA Jam or Contra or Mario, or you had some game they didn't, or they brought their game over and you guys played 2-player all night. And you just had fun.
Right.
And nowadays, with online gaming, I have a friend at the coast, and every third or fourth day we'll spend an hour playing video games together with our headset, and we'll just kind of talk and chat and play Call of Duty.
Nerd.
No, I'm saying though is you don't need to be in the same space anymore.
Right.
It used to be a thing where you got a bag of chips and you invited your friend over and you had some soda and you hung out and played video games, and nowadays you just dial them up, or don't even have to dial them. You just connect together and you talk and kill a bunch of people, and I'll see you at school tomorrow.
Right. This is kill a bunch of people. I'll see you at school tomorrow. This isn't actually one of mine, but game night in the more in the other sense of board games and stuff. Now all of those are going. You've got them all on your phone, and you've got them all. You can still Words with Friends and all that kind of stuff. It's the same kind of thing. You play it that way rather than oh, let's get together and have a fun board game night as well. So it right along with that, I mean, it just doesn't happen as much.
Do you have board games in your house?
We do, yes.
Do you play them?
We haven't lately, just because we have an infant and a young child, but we did before. I'm a fan of board games. I think that, we break out a couple bottles of wine and beer and start having a good time. But
let me tell you, you go to jail.
What do you mean? That's a unicorn.
All right, so my number 3 on my list, we're on 3, right?
I think so.
Okay, is realizing the size of the world. Because when you're a child, especially me coming from a small town, but you kind of just know your circle of world. You know your town, maybe know the next town over, maybe you know Seattle's out there somewhere and it's a big city. And that's pretty much the scope of your world. But now with the internet, I think you really get the size of like China's here. This is what they look like. This is the people there. I could Skype there. I see the news from China. I hear people talking in Chinese languages on the Google Translator. You know all the different things happening all over the world. You see people there, customs, websites, restaurants. Like everything or cultures from all over the world when your world used to be so tiny. Now, you may not visit those places, but you know of those places.
You can connect with them.
Yes.
I see. Yeah, no, I agree. Think of the days when you used to have to go to the library and check out the encyclopedia to do a report on something, right? Now, you get online and you have just an infinite amount of resources at your disposal.
Thank you, Mr. Buzzkill, for killing my number 4.
Oh,
for taking on a completely different tangent and just ruining my other one.
That's a completely different tangent.
Seeing other parts of the world online is different than going to the library and researching things.
Because you don't do that anymore.
Okay, with my number 4, remember how we used to have to go to the library and look up stuff on the encyclopedia?
Is that really one of yours?
Yes. Look, homework. Nowadays, you just go to Wikipedia. Thank you, sir, for taking on a tangent and ruining someone else's number.
I do what I can.
I know you do.
I do what I can.
But also, is Wikipedia an accredited source?
I was just going to say that. I was just going to ask
that. I honestly don't know.
I don't know either.
Am I allowed to actually reference Wikipedia? I think I need to know this, actually. This could be a legitimate problem for me going back to school.
Okay, so here's my take on it.
Okay, is your take the actual take or just making it up?
No. It's how I actually feel about it.
Okay, that doesn't do me any good, but go ahead.
Okay, so I went to college. I majored in journalism. I worked in journalism.
Wait, didn't you major in broadcasting?
Same damn thing.
No.
I still have to adhere to journalistic ethics and standards.
Broadcasting is a lot different than journalism.
No, it is not.
Trust me, I know the difference.
I still have to make sure I don't convict somebody. So anywho, my journalistic integrity says Wikipedia is not a credited source because even though they cite and they list references and stuff there, anybody can go in and make an edit and write it in a certain way. I think it's usable in the sense of general knowledge and like you said earlier, if Google says or Wikipedia says when you're just kind of wondering about various things, but I don't know. As far as citing it in research or in collegiate papers, I'm not so sure that it's a usable entity.
All right, Mr. Buzzkill.
I didn't mean to do
What's your number 3?
Number 3 was going to be tracking. So basically, now and it's already happening now, but even probably more so 20 years from now or 15 years from now, is that you're almost always going to know exactly where your children are. Whether it's because they have a smartphone with them or because there's some technology that becomes available more widespread than whatever is currently out there that you just put in their bag, you put on their shoe, you put somewhere, and you're able to locate them almost instantly at any given time. Which would probably cut down on the sneaking out late at night. Probably would cut down on, I'm just going to study at so-and-so's house and then ditching over and going to somebody else's house instead.
Chad, how could you?
No, I'm not saying I did it. But tracking your children is going to become, I think, less taboo than it kind of is now and almost mainstream, just simply because of technology available to that it will make it so easy to do.
I'm almost hoping that I let my kid kind of go do that on his own because
Yeah.
if I can trust the kid, hopefully I raised him well enough. If he wants to explore a little bit and explore the world, so be it. As long as he doesn't hurt himself or do something stupid. But
Right.
no, it's on my list, an honorable mention, because remember when your parents used to drop you off at the mall and they'd be like, all right, I'll be back in 2 hours. And then either you got so caught up in it and you're like, oh no, I have to leave. I can't call them, tell them to come back later. Or you're like, you're bored after like 20 minutes. You have to kill an hour and 40 minutes because you overestimated how long the mall was going to take.
Right.
And nowadays, you just have a cell phone. You're just like, all right, call and pick me up.
Mm-hmm.
And then, too, the way you mentioned tracking is I have a friend who has older kids, and what he does is he'll randomly just text them and say, all right, send me a photo of Billy's kitchen refrigerator. And he'll know, and they know that's coming, too.
Right.
And so they know they can't leave because a photo, there's going to be sent of like Billy's mom or Billy's cat. And so this way he can keep track. He's like, oh, you're at the arcade? Send me a photo of an arcade machine.
That's an interesting approach. I hadn't thought about that way.
So having them text you photos of where they say they are.
Right. Well, and it's just the funny thing is that it's almost a part of growing up, right?
It used to be.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like there's a part of me that says, yes, I want my children to go and to not live under my thumbprint and to be able to, make smart decisions. Okay, I'm kind of breaking the rules, but I'm not getting into trouble. I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm not, whatever it may be. But at the same time, like as a parent, it's one of those things where you want to try and control, right? You want to have that comfortability of knowing that I can at any point in time swoop in and take care of things if necessary. And when you don't have that control, that's when you feel a little unnerved. So it'll be interesting to see what becomes available down the line. But yeah, tracking I think is almost a given.
When I was a kid, I think I was like 11 or 12. I built a big fort in my grandparents' backyard. Like it was a 5 foot high by 10 feet long by 5 feet, kind of like it was an actual like little tough shed almost.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And it was my fort. And I used to spend almost every night of the summer sleeping out that thing. I built a bed and everything. And of course the classic is 9 p.m. you'd get out and then you'd wander the neighborhood for like 2 hours looking at everything. And no harm came to it.
Right.
But I hope my son would have those kind of adventures. I know probably, my wife always says that's the most terrible thing that ever they could hear. She would never go for that idea.
Yeah.
But nothing bad happened, and you learn a lot about exploring, is going out, and I know Portland's different than like...
I was just going to say, you grew up in a much different community than you live.
People say that, but statistically it's never been safer. United States has never been safer.
That's
Never,
true.
ever, ever. And it's because the news makes us scared.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if my kid wandered in the night a mile down to the park and spent an hour wandering through the forest of the park, I can almost guarantee you nothing bad would ever happen to that kid.
No, probably not. However, because of the way that we live these days, somebody would probably see him and call the police thinking that he's trying to break into something.
And then I would get arrested for letting my kid go to the park by himself at like 14 years old.
Yeah, like the mom who left her kid because she had a freaking job interview. And,
or 15-year-old kid at the park.
And she gets in trouble for it. So, but I hear what you're saying, and I think it's going to be interesting to see kind of, no cliche here, but the times in which we live when we get to that point in our children's lives of kind of how things are.
All right, so here's my second number 4 because you ruined the first one.
I didn't ruin it.
You stole it.
I didn't know you had it.
And that was the one that I thought it was obvious, was homework.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so my next one is end of summer catch-up. You've talked before about hanging out with a lot of your friends during the summer, but I didn't hang out with really any of my friends. And even the ones you didn't hang out with, you came back to school the first day, and you spent the entire first week just talking about all the stuff you did.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Disney. I flew to Florida and saw my grandma. I went to Minnesota and saw a baseball game.
Mm-hmm.
Or, we put a pool in our backyard. Oh, my gosh. And nowadays, you just check their Facebook status.
True. Although, at what age? I mean, I think officially you can't get a Facebook until you're 13.
No, they changed that.
What is it now?
I think they just opened it up. They realized...
Really?
I'll have to look at it. I read somewhere that, they realized people were just lying about it. And so I think they changed that requirement somehow. And Chad is Googling it right now. I know it was a pretty big deal. They might have lowered it down to a particular age, but I know they full-on submitted that people were, lying about their age.
It still says you have to be 13.
13. So it used to be 18 or something, didn't it?
I don't know. But yeah, 13 is the official age.
Okay. But I mean, used instant messenger, email, whatever it is. Nowadays, you can keep you can probably text your friends constantly.
Right. Yeah. That's more. Yeah.
You text 400 times a day, even though I heard texting's almost going away too.
Which I'm disappointed at. It's my preferred mode of communication.
That's going to be how they know we're old, is we text them.
Do your parents text very well?
No. Well, my wife's parents do.
Okay.
But here's something, actually. Here's a little side note. I do a bunch of prepping for a radio prepping service I do.
Mm-hmm.
And they were saying the number one way people know you're old on a resume you send out is whether you double space after a period. Because they said it catches, people don't realize this, headhunters know this. And so if you have a resume and you double space after a period, they know you're old.
Isn't that funny?
And I don't double space.
No, I had to retrain myself to not do that, because out of habit, space, 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 I had to retrain my thinking, and now I don't do it at all. And I actually have gone back and changed some of my stuff that's online and this and that to be single spaced. But that's amazing that you bring up, because I don't know where or when that switch happened.
Typewriters.
Yeah, but it's been around way longer than that. I mean, we learned that in school and all the way through college.
No, but they said the mentality of people who grew up on typewriters taught the next wave of people to double space.
Oh, sure.
But now that we're getting old enough on our own to think and or teach the next wave, we teach them not to double space.
So what's the theory behind not double spacing? Do you know?
They said typewriters just needed more space. The type font was so big you wanted to really. Nowadays, we're looking at a monitor that's bigger, and so we don't need the double space.
Interesting.
People who grew up typing on a computer don't double space because they don't need the space.
Interesting. It seems kind of like a ridiculous reason to switch, but the switch has been made, and it's a fantastic point, and one that I find fascinating.
There you go. An interesting point today. You can everyone at work just tell them, I know something you don't.
That's right.
But don't tell them that.
Yeah, don't tell them that.
All right, what's near number 4?
My number 4 is basically smart everything. We're gonna have your house is gonna be smart. Your phones are gonna be smart. Humans may be dumber because everything is going to be done for them, but quote unquote, you're going to have smart everything. Did you
smart toasters?
Well, did you see the thing that Amazon released their Echo the other day, that they just dropped the bomb on everybody? There was no advanced talk about it. And now, where you can enter a room, and I think you say Alexa is their kind of code word. Alexa, how many cups are in a gallon? And it'll just instantly tell you as you're making something.
Well, the funny thing is, we got to get in bad habit of that. You and I are saying, and the funny thing is, we got to get rid of that.
That's
too.
true.
Okay, so the next wave of thing they're doing with that is the next wave will be even better, because it'll start controlling appliances.
Right.
You'll say, Alexa, turn on my oven to 450.
Right.
Alexa, DVR the sports game tonight.
Right. And honestly, this is Amazon, so clearly they're looking to spend some money. So or to get some money. They're hoping that you see a commercial on TV and you say, Alexa, buy me Tide detergent. Alexa, buy me, whatever.
Alexa, put it on my grocery list.
Yes, and it just instantly starts. You can just literally spend money without doing anything.
But then, Alexa, turn on the webcam in the kid's bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'll have your entire house controlled by this little box.
Yeah, and
but talking about smartwatches, when I was a kid, it was a big deal to get a digital watch.
Like the Casio with the calculator?
Yes. And then nowadays, you're going to get a smartwatch.
Mm-hmm. And everything talks to each other and everything. I don't even have to turn lights on in my house anymore. We just have little, timers that do it for us. And those things are analog. They click, 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 and, come on. But pretty soon, you're going to have smart outlets where you plug it in, you tell it when you want it to come on, and boom, it comes on. You don't even have to do anything with it.
Well, that's called a timer.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. We're going to get into digital, all of that digital, because you have the little, where you spin the little clock and you push the little buttons in and it comes on. But pretty soon, you're going to be able to control, in some ways you already can, but every facet of your life, you're going to be able to control from the palm of your hand. And that's something that, we could not have imagined growing up.
And we had a glorious 10-year run where no one had to have a watch.
Yeah.
We all had watches. And then we got phones.
Yes.
And then we all slowly stopped having watches. We checked our time on our phone. And then boom, now we're all slowly getting watches again.
Are you going to get a watch again?
No, I said I would never get rid of my watch in the first place, and then I did.
Yeah.
And then I said I'm never going to get a watch again. I probably will.
I wore when I was on TV and I did that every day. I wore a watch strictly for aesthetic purposes because it just, when you have to wear a suit and all that kind of stuff, like it went well. I never used it. In fact, for like the last year, the battery's been dead. But I still wore it because it just went with the whole outfit.
Well, it shows you how much technology has changed because for radio, I've always worked in radio. I grew up in radio and I had a watch.
I wore a suit every day. You wore a bathing suit every day.
Exactly. I wore a funny T-shirt. But I wore a watch because, you had to know if I was in a studio 2 over from the host, we had to be on the exact same time, like literally down to the second.
Second, right.
And so every day I used to come to work and I used to reset to the second. It'd be like 2 seconds off. And I'd reset it because I had to be exactly on the second, especially for news talk.
Right.
Hitting the top of the hour and stuff like that. But then, they started putting clocks in like every room. And they were all satellite clocks. And actually,
funny enough, there's not one in this room.
Funny enough, the studio we're in here does not have it. And so that is crazy. But anyway, and so, yeah, there literally is not a clock in here.
Just on the computers. Go figure.
Go figure. But they don't have seconds, which is tough.
Yeah, although we do have the big monitor up in the corner that has a clock on it. So maybe that
counts.
counts.
That's too small because there's no seconds on there.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyway, and so I stopped wearing my watch because I could get it off the monitors.
Right.
But now it's full circle. But the thing is, here's what I'm reading too, is now with the smartwatches, you're going to need another internet plan. Because you have one for your phone. Mm-hmm. People have now one for their tablets. You have to have a separate internet plan. And you're going to need another internet plan for your smartwatch.
Goodness.
So you're going to spend like $300 a month just on internet plans.
Right.
Home, phone, watch, tablet.
I'm not so much on board yet with the whole smartwatch thing, and who knows, that may change. But I just think that for our kids, it's going to be living, just your everyday life is going to be so dramatically different than what we experienced just because of this whole smart phrase of what it means for everything. So, we're going to literally, I almost feel like you can just think it and suddenly something somewhere is going to happen.
All right, what's your number 4?
No, my number 5.
Number 5.
My number 5, it kind of goes along with that. And it's kind of silly, but they're going to grow up in a world without a lot of cords. Like, you just don't have to plug things in like you used to. You charge your phone at night. You just have a little cord next to the side of your bed. You have wireless internet. You don't have to plug in an Ethernet cord anymore. You don't have to run Cat5 through your entire house anymore, although sometimes you still do. You hide your TV cords in the wall now. You have satellites that do all this stuff that you just link up to. You just don't have these cords, extension cords, and all this kind of stuff that you used to have to get all power to all these things. Now you just run power to it and you hide it all. And
some of the newer droids already have wireless charging.
Yeah, wireless charging, or you just replace the battery in the back and you charge one overnight and you have a new one each day. So we're running into a world of where there just aren't many cords anymore.
No, I'm saying the new droids, they literally have like charging tablets.
You
just set them down on the pad,
right?
And it just charges it for you. You don't have to plug anything in. You just set it on your desk, it charges automatically.
Yeah, so to me, it's just kind of funny how, like, do you have extension cords just laying around your house?
In my wood shop, I do.
No, but just like around the house.
No.
Do you remember growing up, like, we used to have, we want a lamp over there, but the outlet's way over there. So now we have to run, like, all this. And
everyone's grandparents' house, you had, like, the one plug-in per room.
Right.
That's all you had.
Right.
And nowadays, because I remodeled my basement, like, the code, you have to have a plug-in, like, every 6 or 8 feet. And so, you have, like, 4 on a wall. Mm-hmm. So there are plug-ins, like, everywhere.
Yeah, but you don't have all these cords laying around like you used to. At least that's what I remember as a kid.
Remember those little brown extension, little tiny brown extension cords?
Exactly. Yeah. So number 5 for me is just cords. We're in a wireless world. We're in a Wi-Fi world. It's just not what it used to be.
And you skipped my number 5 accidentally.
Well, sorry. I thought you were still mad at me for encroaching on one of yours.
I am still mad at you. All right, but my number 5 is driverless cars.
Oh.
Because I read somewhere Ford said, they think by 2020, like, they think their entire line of cars will be driverless.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That's scary.
That's only like 6 years away. that we won't be driving our own cars
I
anymore.
don't think it'll happen.
I think it'll be like a moneyless currency. Well, our generation will have to
Bitcoin?
die. No. I mean, like they always say, like someday they'll just get rid of paper currency and we'll be all on credit card. But we'll have to wait for the older people to pass away because they're not quite comfortable with it. You and I will never, ever be comfortable with having a driverless car.
Yeah.
But our kids probably will.
Yeah.
Like the idea of driving the car themselves will sound stupid.
Right.
But we'll always want a car we can drive ourselves. Or we'll always be skeptical of a car that we can't drive.
Yeah.
But they will find it normal. By the time they get their driver's license, heck, there might not even be driver's license anymore.
That's true.
And, you know, a long road trip will be nothing. They'll just watch 3 episodes of their favorite TV show, and they'll be there.
Right.
I was thinking about this, go to Disneyland. Used families to climb in the car, drive all day, and get there. Now, you'd get in the backseat of your car, you'd sleep at like 8 p.m., wake up, you're in Sacramento. The car is just driven while you slept.
Ugh. That's creepy.
I mean, and you just, cars will probably be a lot more efficient on the highway because they'll be weaving and bobbing.
Right.
They'll all just work together to get wherever they have to go. There'll be no stick shift for sure, I'll tell you that much.
Well, then what's going to happen for the Amazing Race? I mean, that's like their lifeblood. Although I have yet to see a stick shift on this season's race.
I know there'll always be taxis to ruin it.
Yeah, to ruin the timing.
There'll be a terrible driverless car that'll take in the wrong direction.
Damn you, car. So that's our top 10.
Do you have any honorable mentions?
Oh, goodness.
I have one honorable mention.
All right, go for it.
And that is what toys you want for Christmas. When you were a kid, I at least used to get the big 500-page like Sears catalog, and you would spend hour after hour, day after day flipping it, looking through it. You're like, oh, I could use a rock polisher. Oh, look at that science kit. I could make my own flubber. And you would just like look at all these toys like page after page and read them over and over again. You'd circle things and cross them back off and circle something else instead. And nowadays, you're inundated with so much like TV and commercials and ads for the pop up on your webs, and then you research them. You've already know like where a Newegg it is and Amazon's best price, and then you found the even better version of that, and you read a review, and you found whether you should actually want it or not, and what add-ons you need.
Well, yeah, and you've used your app to figure out where it's cheapest, or where it's in stock, or
And then
all those kind of things.
Billy, your friend, already has it, so you've gotten together and figured out what goes with it.
Yeah, technology, it truly is a crazy time right now, right? I mean, just things are becoming quicker, faster, smaller, and smarter. It just is, and it's kind of funny because I'm starting to feel like what my parents probably still feel like right now.
Essentially, everything you know will be different for your kid. That's what it comes down to. Everything will be different.
Yeah.
But that's not bad.
No, I still can't figure out Common Core, but that's a whole nother thing.
I was thinking about this a couple of days ago. As great as technology is now, you look back at like the 1900s or 1800s and how they didn't have even the internet or TV or radio or cars. Think how great the future even further down. Like, it's almost sad I won't be here 1,000 years from now. At least you won't be. I'll figure out somewhere.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But like 1,000 years from now, think how cool the world's going to be. I mean, you're just going to transport from one part of the world to the other. You're just going to like think, and TV will pop into your brain. Like literally, there'll be TV that is in your brain.
You think so?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, there's Oculus Rift will be the biggest thing ever. I truly think of this because it'll be a headset you'll put on, and it won't just be, like video games. But they're talking about like they'll put on Oculus Rift, and it'll be a center court from Lakers game, and it'll literally look every direction you want to look, and you'll follow the game from a camera on center court at the Lakers game, and you'll control looking wherever you want to go. You'll walk out during the game and just see wherever you want to see.
I don't think I want to be there.
There'll be video games where you literally will live in that world. You'll just spend all your time, like you'll walk through the forest, you'll set up camps and trees and tents, and you'll live there.
Not for me.
You'll watch a football game from Washington State. You'll watch them lose right there from Washington State.
Hey, we won last week.
And so, I mean, that'll be the big thing. Movies.
Yeah.
You'll have open world movies where you can follow any direction you want in any way.
Yeah. I can't fathom it. A part of me says I don't want to, but it'll be interesting to see it get developed.
That'll be the big thing. I mean, Facebook bought Oculus Rift. I know Sony's working on their own version. That will be the future of entertainment.
Yeah, it'll be pretty crazy.
Or if you have anything we left off our top 10 list this week, go to the website, dadswhodiaper.com, right there in the podcast at the bottom. In the comments, we've made it now so you can log in through your Facebook.
Yeah, super easy. Just dive right in.
And everyone has a Facebook account because technology.
Literally, well, half the world has a Facebook account.
I think more than half.
Yeah, is that what it is up to now?
Yeah. And so go there, leave a comment. What did we leave off? Our technology for childhood list. dadswhodiaper.com.
It's the Dads Who Diaper podcast.
So this podcast has been at least 5 stars, maybe 6.
And it's been free.
And it is free. So to reward us for providing with amazing, fantastic, free content for the last, 55 minutes or so, to help make your day better for 50 some odd minutes, could you please go and give us a review? Head on over to iTunes. It's very simple. Just get there, search Dads Who Diaper. The podcast pops right up, and drop us a review. Drop us a line. Let people know exactly how fantastically awesome this podcast is, and help us spread the word. And it's very simple to do.
And we haven't brought it up today, but today is a very special day when it comes to the Dads Who Diaper podcast. Today is episode 26. Half a year now we've been doing this podcast.
That is crazy. Do you remember back to our very first podcast? We didn't know what the hell we were doing.
Hey, guys, it's time to talk about being a dad.
And here we are, 26 episodes later, and hopefully it's gotten a little bit better. We tend to think it has.
This is the second longest commitment Chad's ever made.
Oh,
a relationship he's ever made.
Stop it. That's not true.
Wife 1, Dads Who Diaper podcast 2.
Oh, please. But yeah, so we're 26 episodes in. We've brought in some fantastic interviews. We've had some experts, and we've had a lot of parenting folks join us to talk about various topics. We've had a lot of fun. We've talked about a lot of great top 10 lists. We've had kind of shared personal stories about what's going on with our children and how we're approaching things. And we've got 26 more episodes to go before we have an entire year under our belt. But so far, I think it's been pretty good. What do you think, Paul?
It's been pretty good. I can't even comprehend 26 episodes. And the idea of getting to 52 or 100 episodes blows my mind, the idea that we could do that.
I know, right? And here we are. We've got a good track. We got a good foundation.
And we come in every week. We record this. We edit it. We put it out. And all the stuff we've learned along the way to do those things, too.
Exactly. I know. All the additional skills. Man, who would have thought? But nonetheless, head on over to iTunes. Give us a review. We'd love to hear it. 5 stars. And let your friends and family know about it. And if you have ideas for us, we're always happy to track down people and get them on the show if you've got questions or you want answers. So give us a holler right there at dadswhodiaper.com.
Yeah, help celebrate our half-a-year anniversary by going to iTunes, giving us a review. Or, you know what, just go to the podcast this week on Dads Who Diaper, the post, and, leave a little note. We'd love to hear from you, that you're listening, what you like, what you don't like, what you'd love to see. Maybe more Paul, less Chad, that kind of thing. Understandable.
Oh, sure.
We love to hear from you.
And let us know where you're listening from. I'd love to hear, what city, what state, what country, where you are when you listen. Because, we've heard from folks in Germany. We've heard from folks in, I think it was France or Italy. I can't remember. We've heard from a couple of people, around the country. So just let us know. Drop us a line. Say hi. We're always happy to hear from you.
Exactly. So I hope you enjoyed this week's podcast. We talked about technology. We talked about Cheetos. Oh, did you see this new Mountain Dew they're testing?
A Doritos-flavored Mountain Dew?
Yes.
Could there be a worse product available?
Are you going to try it, though?
Oh, God, no. Not even close.
I would buy one to try it. But maybe have you read the description of what it tastes like?
No.
It tastes like liquid queso, they said. Like cheese dip.
Liquid queso.
Like a watery queso.
As much as I love queso, and I do love me some queso, that sounds horrific.
Do you ever go to 7-Eleven and pump it on your hot dog?
No, I haven't been to 7-Eleven in forever.
Why not?
I don't know.
Are you against 7-Eleven?
No, not at all.
What did 7-Eleven ever do to you?
I dig their Slurpees, but it's 45 degrees outside right now, and I'm just not feeling Slurpee-ish.
Oh, by the way, we should probably get this out of the way now. Our shoe bet is over.
Oh, that's right.
You and I decided to see how long we could go just wearing flip-flops.
Right.
And I'll give it. You and I had a good run.
We are into November, the second week of November, in fact.
And what happened was, I'm going to say it's technicality, but working in the wood shop, I was putting up new upper cabinets. I got some new upper cabinets to the wood shop, and I did not feel like dropping a cabinet on my toe and breaking them.
I can understand
And
that.
so I wore shoes.
Yes.
And then I had to go pick up my kids, so I just went in the car and drove.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife says, because I didn't transition to flip-flops to get into the car, I lost. I say it is a neutral tie because you also were ready to give up your flip-flop because of the weather.
Because of the weather. Well, when you texted me yesterday, I was like, well, that kind of is a technicality. I would have let it slide. But nonetheless, we had a good run. And so I guess neither one of us has to pay up. But
We pretty much had about 8 months of flip-flops every day.
it's not a bad way to end the year.
You know what? Dads Who Diaper needs to be big enough that their headquarters can be in, like, Miami.
If we're going somewhere warm, let's go to the Caribbean. Let's just keep going further south.
Yeah, but there are no 7-Elevens in the Caribbean.
Yeah, I'm sure there are. So 7-Eleven is global.
Oh, you know where there are the most 7-Elevens?
Where?
Japan.
Really?
They have, for every one in the U.S., there's like 4 in Japan.
They must be super small.
When I lived in Japan, there are 7-Elevens like everywhere.
Like Starbucks here.
Yes.
I always say here in Portland, you go to Starbucks just because it's on the way. But in most cities, like you have to actually make Starbucks your destination. Like
No, you don't.
In Houston, when we go to visit family, like we have to go destination Starbucks if you're going to get something because they're not as prevalent.
Well, in Houston and Texas in general, they have so much. It's a driving city. You don't walk
True.
anywhere.
Yeah, unless you're right in downtown. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
No, even downtown. I remember like Dallas. Like we're going to Texas Stadium, and then like Arlington Stadium's like kind of by it. Like it's like a mile apart. There's literally like no way to get there. You have to
really?
get in your car and like drive. They don't make it walking friendly at all. And if you start walking, cars will be like, "Get off our sidewalk!"
What are you doing?
Exactly.
So great podcast today again. Go leave us a review if you can, and hit us up with any suggestions, ideas, comments, and questions you may have.
All right, please visit the website dadswhodiaper.com. For Chad Carter, I am Paul Snowden. Another week, another tip on how to be a great dad. Have a great week, everyone.